This story comes to us from Los Angeles, CBSLocal.com. On Tuesday night during the National Night Out event in South Pasadena, a police dog reportedly bit a 5-year-old boy on the head. National Night Out is a nationwide campaign focused on improving community police relationships.
Well, to South Pasadena now, where a National Night Out event backfired. A police dog bit a little boy, leaving him injured and bloody. But now the police department is under fire. And tonight, the boy's father is talking to us. But South Pasadena police are not.
A National Night Out, an evening intended to endear the public to police, had the opposite effect on the Forbes family.
The boy's father told KCAL 9 CBS 2 that he and the officer had to pull the canine off of the boy. The father said to me it would be no different if they were doing a gun demo and a gun went off. I find it incredibly irresponsible. The police, when we talked to them, they were pretty dismissive about it. They were pretty flippant, like, accidents happen. Paramedics treated the child at Orange Grove Park before taking him to the hospital.
Josh Forbes' 5-year-old son, Sebastian, was enamored with the canine South Pasadena police had brought out to show off to the crowd. Sebastian took a few steps forward and then retreated, but all of a sudden, seemingly unprovoked.
And before I could even get a chance to step back in the line, the dog went for me.
Josh and the canine's handler were able to pull the dog off Sebastian fairly quickly, and paramedics who were already on scene for the event tended to Sebastian in the ambulance.
There was like blood streaming down his head, and it's pretty scary.
Sebastian was then rushed to the hospital. He had a bite mark on his ear and needed stitches near his eye.
I'd like an apology. He locked eyes on Sebastian. He didn't like the look of him or something, and the dog just went straight for him and jumped on his face and was biting him and had him pinned to the ground. It was so close to his eye they had to give him ketamine to put him under. I was told, hey, this is an accident. Accidents happen. Calm down. Yeah, I just want to make sure it doesn't happen again. I just want to make sure that this is the last kid that dog ever bites.
According to Josh, he hasn't received much of anything in the way of remorse or an explanation from police, other than a call from them Wednesday asking how Sebastian was doing. Josh says there has been no apology nor an admission of guilt. Josh Forbes adds that if that bite had been any closer to his son's eye, he may have lost it. Now, we've been reaching out to South Pasadena police all day long, but have yet to hear back.
And accidents happen. No, look, you know what? Accidents happen. Dogs are unpredictable. They just all of a sudden. But the thing is, here in California, and it kind of differentiates between counties, but in the state of California, if your dog bites somebody, you're supposed to quarantine that dog. Like San Bernardino County, it's a 14-day quarantine. And after, I don't remember if it was 7 or 10 days, you go do a spot check on the dog to see if he's like foaming or sick or, rabies. Basically, it's where it stems from. It's a rabies control issue. Now, people say, well, come on, police dogs don't have rabies. Well, it's come down to where that quarantine thing isn't so much. I mean, it started from a rabies control program back in the day when rabies was rampant, and we didn't know a whole lot about a whole lot of things medically. But today, that quarantine thing really is more of a legal issue because you can receive a citation for violation of quarantine. So that's if your dog bites somebody, it must be quarantined. And if it's not quarantined, if you violate quarantine, you can receive a citation and go to court on violation of quarantine. So my point is, here this police dog bites somebody, bites this young boy on the head. Is this dog going to be quarantined? Just asking. In fact, didn't where was that the other dog attacked the dude who was already complying on the ground and chewed his arm up? Did that dog get quarantined? Of course not.
It's accidentally released.
My bad.
Deputies struggled to use a special tool to get the dog to release from the man's arm. Body cam footage from another deputy shows the incident from a different angle.
Because they're canines. And even canines have qualified immunity because they are part of the blue line. They stand on that blue line just like any police officer. So police dogs have qualified immunity. Means they don't have to be quarantined when they bite somebody. But I believe the father when he says they were pretty dismissive, like, accidents happen, sorry, dude, because if they, if they apologize or if they admit that it was, hey, we're sorry, that shouldn't have happened, then they open themselves up to lawsuit. I mean, you can sue for any time. I mean, they can still sue the Pasadena Police Department. But if they make any statements or say anything like, we're sorry that happened, oh my God, then they open themselves up even more for liability, because a civil attorney can say, well, your officer apologized, so obviously you guys did something wrong. No, they can say, hey, you know what? It wasn't our fault. It was an accident. Animals are unpredictable, blah, 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 blah. You got to remember, police departments and law enforcement agencies are all about avoiding liability. And one of the ways they avoid liability, we don't apologize for anything. And if they make a false arrest, they have to come up with a charge so they don't get sued. Oh, he resisted. And a lot of times these charges are being dropped, as you see, or changed to something else. And I'll throw myself under the bus. I'll use my own arrest. I didn't resist. I gave my name 4 times. The cop wrote down my date of birth and said on camera my date of birth as he was writing it, and then told dispatch he's refusing to give me any of his information. He's not giving me information. He's resisting. I'm going to just go ahead and arrest him. Well, I sent that to the district attorney's office, and I said, look, how was I resisting? I gave my name 4 times, and the cop wrote my date of birth down. Well, they didn't have resisting, so they had to come up with something. And because I yelled at the cop and said, you know what, this is retaliation for my video the other day when you were screaming at me, and I recorded you and sent it to the sheriff and blah, 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 blah. So they came up with a noise complaint. And I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to open that can of worms again. But a lot of people said I should have fought it. But you know what? There were a lot of circumstances going on. The wife was stressing out. Sometimes you have to choose your battles. Nothing happened. I walked out like, see ya, and then that was it. But no fine, no jail time, nothing. Just bye. It was, But my point is, I digress, is that they have to come up with something to avoid liability. Now let's get back to a dog biting a young boy, and it's a canine police dog who bites this boy in the park, unleashed, they said, didn't have a leash. They have to avoid liability, so they go, accidents happen, dude. Come on, man. Chill out, bro. They're not going to apologize. To do that would be to put themselves in front of liability. Sounds like we need a mass audit at the Pasadena PD. Keep that canine off the street. What do you all think? Let me know in the comment section below. Community Leo Watch watching law enforcement officers. That's Leos. And that includes Pasadena. Good thing that dog didn't bite the little old lady from Pasadena.